Hey friend, Callan here from Sumthins Recording, and today I want to show you how to mix crunchy electric guitars. If you've been following the videos as of late and you've been catching some of the live streams, you've probably seen me working through this song here, and I really liked how these electric guitars came out, so I wanted to show you how I mixed these crunchy style electric guitars using just EQ and compression. And this is going to help you dial in your workflow for mixing electric guitars in general to sit inside of a track here. But before we dive in, if you're looking to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process in its entirety and really start to hone your workflow as an audio engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through the entire mixing process, step by step, to help you get professional and radio-ready mixes without any more of the hassle and without any more of the guesswork. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and let's explore the mix on these electric guitars. Let me start, of course, by playing you the finished mix for this track, and you can kind of hear how it's sitting. And then I'll solo up this pair of electric guitars that we're going to look at. It's the pair of rhythm guitars that fit inside this song, and you can hear how they sound by themselves. But here's our mix for this song.
I'll send my love on a shooting star. I'll send it fast and I'll send it far. Hear your voice in my sleep at night, but only in my dreams could it be this right. To me it won't ever be the same, so please come back. I miss you, Jane.
So you can hear they're not too distorted, they're not too big sounding, they're not taking up so much space in our mix. They're a little bit on the cleaner side. They just have that nice crunch to them, and it helps them sit alongside things like piano, which is kind of our main melodic instrument, as well as the organ that is supporting it. So they just give this nice crunch, this nice little crisp that sits nicely panned out wide outside of our keyboard here. So let me take off all our processing. You can hear where we started. Here's our raw pair of electric guitars. So you can hear it's a pretty good starting point. I've always been kind of a big believer that rock sounding electric guitars usually come the way they're supposed to sound, especially if you're dealing with a good musician on the front end here. So we're not going to do too much. We're just going to enhance the sound and enhance the performance of the musician who played this. So starting off with our first EQ here, you can see only doing a couple moves, and none of them are over 3 dB boost here. So we're going to start with a high pass filter, of course, and I'm just rolling this up here. Again, these aren't supposed to be very heavy, they're not supposed to be very big inside the track here, so I'm rolling up the high pass filter probably a little bit further than I would on something that's a little bit heavier, has more bottom end to it, because these are supporting our piano and supporting the rest of our track here, so we're leaving room below it for the bottom end on the heavier stuff here. We're up at 140 hertz here with a 12 dB per octave slope. So take a listen here. I'll play it without the high pass, and then I will kick our high pass filter in. Now off the bat with that move in isolation, it might feel like we're thinning out this pair of electric guitars too much, but don't worry. At the moment, all we're doing is we're making room for our bass guitar, we're making room for the bottom end on our piano here. It goes. Those are our two big instruments that have some bottom end to them, besides, of course, our kick drum here. And the heart of the low end on electric guitars, where we're going to get that heat, is usually sitting around the 200 area. So don't worry, we're going to get some of that back later on here. The next move I'm making is I'm pulling out some of the muddiness in the low mid area, and usually there's going to be a buildup on a pair of electric guitars somewhere around the 350, 400 hertz mark. We're at 315 here, and I'm only pulling out about 2 dB, negative 1.92 dB. So take a listen here without this cut, and then I'll kick this cut in. You can hear the frequencies we're pulling out, and I'll also boost it up so you can hear the frequency range we're affecting overall here. You can hear it's not a drastic change. We're just taming some of that muddiness in the low mid area to up towards the mid range here, 315 hertz. You heard when I boosted it up, it's kind of that build up in the low mid frequencies that you get on electric guitars, and just pulling out almost 2 dB of it helps to tame that area and give us a better balance tonally on this pair of electric guitars. Now, before I do these two upper boosts here, I want to throw in my compressor, and lately I've been really loving this Everest C100A style compressor on electric guitars. So I'm just going to do about 3 dB reduction here with this. We've got a medium style attack. There's no big transients here on the electric guitars that we're looking to tame. And then I've got a fast release. That way we're not, clamping down and holding on to this pair of electric guitars so much here. So take a listen without this compressor in, and then I'll kick it in. I just want you to focus on how it kind of concretes in the EQ work we've done so far on this pair of guitars. One of the reasons I love this compressor so much is because it doesn't have a huge tone shift to it when we throw it on a pair of guitars. To me, it always solidifies the moves we've already made EQ-wise on a pair of electric guitars like this. So it doesn't bring up any low mid information. It doesn't crush the highs. It just gives us some smoothness across the sound, and it kind of concretes in, okay, this is our EQ for this guitar. Let's move back now. We've got our compressor in, doing that 3 dB reduction, just kind of holding our guitars in place here. Now we're going to go back and boost some top end here. The first move I'm always doing with a boost on guitar, on electric guitar especially, is a mid-range boost. So we're at about 1.5K here, 1.42K to be exact, and I'm going to boost about 3 dB here, 2.88 dB. This is the frequency range you're selling on electric guitars, especially crunchier style guitars like this that err maybe on the gentler side, more towards something that's cleaner. This is the frequency range you're selling here. So take a listen without this boost, and then I'll kick it in. Listen to how suddenly the guitars come to life a little bit. Just that 2.5 dB boost here in the mid-range at about 1.5K brings out all that energy that these guitars are contributing to this track in the mid-range. It really lets you know, okay, these guitars are here. This is the energy they're contributing. This is the heart of the sound on this pair of electric guitars. Without it, they feel kind of dull. They feel a little scoop sounding. We kick this 3 dB boost in here, and suddenly our guitars have all the life and energy we need on them. The last boost we're doing here on this first EQ is just emphasizing some of that crunchiness and some of that breakup on the top end here. We've got about a 2 dB boost up at 4K here. And with kind of a nice crunchy pair of electric guitars like this, anywhere from like a 3 to 4 to maybe a 5K boost will help bring out some of that breakup that you're getting from the amp here. So take a listen without this boost, and then I'm going to kick it in. We're doing 1.92 dB boost at 3.98K. It's not a big boost, but it makes a big difference, right? It's just enough to wake up the top end of our guitars and give them that brightness they need to cut through in this track. Now, the last move we're making here, so we've got our first EQ, then we've got our compressor. After our compressor, I have another EQ. This is where we're re-injecting that heat, that low end, into our electric guitars to make sure they have some weight to them and they aren't too thin sounding. I like to cut bottom end going into the compressor and then add low end back post compression, because to me it always feels more even post compressor because our compressor is there just holding everything in place. So we're doing a 2.5 dB boost at 159 hertz here, and this is going to give us that low heat we want to hear on a pair of electric guitars. So take a listen without this boost and then we'll kick it in. 2.5 dB. It's not a lot, but it just pulls back up some of that bottom end weight that this pair of guitars have, and it's nice and consistent. It's not there on some notes and not on others. It stays there right all the way through this pair of electric guitars. That's what I want. That's why I'm boosting post compression here. So let's do an overall here now on the guitars, and we'll throw them back inside the mix as well.
Send my love on a shooting star. I'll send it fast and I'll send it far. Hear your voice in my sleep at night, but only in my dreams could it be this right. To me it won't ever be the same, so please come back. I miss you, Jay.
So when mixing crunchy electric guitars like this, we're not reshaping the tone, we're not doing a lot of sculpting here, just a couple moves on our EQ to emphasize the nice tone we've got from this musician, little bit of compression to kind of hold everything placed, concrete our sound in, and just a touch of that low end heat on the back end here to make sure our guitars have some weight inside this track. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you're ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an audio engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can get access to that by clicking the link below in the video description, and it's going to help you dial in more professional mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching here today, and I will see you in the next video.